Women are not safe in South Korea. That may sound dramatic, but let me explain. Given the heavy nature of this video, it will be quite dark, so I do want to offer a trigger warning for SA. And I also want to let people know that on Patreon, this video will be available ad-free and uncensored because we get into a lot. So yeah, I know this title may seem dramatic, and I know a lot of women everywhere are becoming less and less protected. Look no closer than the good old USA. But what just happened in South Korea is boiling my blood. Taeil and his two still unnamed accomplices were just sentenced to 3.5 years in prison for aggravated gang or quasi, as they call it in Korea. On July 10th, aka today, the Seoul Central District Court Criminal Division 26 sentenced Taeil and 2 other defendants to 3 years and 6 months in prison for violating the Act on special cases concerning the punishment of crimes, aka aggravated quasi. The court also ordered them to complete 40 hours of sexual violence education and imposed a 5-year employment restriction at institutions involving children and adolescents. This victim was a tourist from China. In South Korea, you can confess to gang and be sentenced to 3.5 years in prison for it. And prosecution only asked for 7 years and they didn't even get that. Listen, in South Korea, when you do drugs, you are punished more harshly for when you physically harm another person. Get you like 5 years minimum, but when you you usually get way less than that. When you sleep with an underage girl, a 16-year-old twice, you become the star of Squid Game and you only get a 10 months suspended prison sentence. It's crazy because Burning Sun, for example, with all of that, with everything we know, the harshest punishment was 5 years given to Jung Jun-young. Choi Jung-hoon was only given 2 years and 6 months, and Seung-ri only got 1 year and 6 months. We keep seeing these double standards for how men are punished when they commit acts of violence against women. Since we mentioned Squid Game, let's talk about the 2 girls who blackmailed the front man years ago while he was cheating on his pregnant wife. They each got longer prison sentences for blackmail than men in Korea get for assault. Prosecution wanted 3 years for them, but the front man said, oh, let's be lenient, and they got less than that. This is something else I found depressingly factual. As of 2020, the sentencing standards for sexual violence cases is 3 to 30 years, but in basic sentences is 2 years and 6 months to 5 years. If there is a need for aggravated punishment due to the level of harm of the crime, the sentence is set to 4 to 7 years. But if there are needs for reduction, the sentence is set from 1 year and 6 months to 3 years. The issue not only lies in the fact that the basic standards for sentencing is very short compared to other nations, but it's also easily reduced. Reasons for reducing the sentence of a sex offender include special sentencing factors such as being feeble-minded, having no history of a criminal record, being under the influence of alcohol. That's right, you can say, oh, I was drunk when I did that, and get a lighter punishment for it. Or showing serious regret and reflecting deeply on your actions. Additionally, the law is favored towards people with money, fame, status, and influence. Earlier this year, I made a video about a man who was driving a Rolls Royce in the Gangnam area near Apgujeong, and he hit and killed a woman. She was 27 years old, on her way home from a part-time job. He got 20 years. That was reduced to 10 years. He was under the influence, lesser crime, expressed regret, got his sentence reduced by half. But that case also exposed the Gangnam plastic surgeon who gave him the drugs, because that guy, this Gangnam doctor, drugged and filmed several of his clients at his clinic and only got 16 years for it. Over 10 women. One of them took her own life. Every single man I mentioned so far in this video got their sentence reduced because they expressed remorse or wrote a damn letter. And I don't know where the appeal situation stands with Taeil right now, but I'm pretty sure if he were to write a letter, he'd get less than 3 years and 6 months. He could get it down to 3 years, 1.5 years, time served, who knows? I'm so sorry to say this part out loud because I've been trying so hard to be like this understanding middle person, neutral to some degree. I've been trying to offer the benefit of the doubt. I've really been trying and I'm struggling because I'm really starting to feel like women are better than men. And I know it's not all men. I know that. There are men in my life that I love, appreciate, adore, respect, and cherish deeply. But it is exhausting being a woman in a world built by and for men. All the stats and all the data, any study you can see shows that women face an alarmingly higher rate of violence and abuse and danger and risk from men. Men are not in danger because of women. Men are in danger because of other men. You know, there's that saying, oh, if men are gone, who's going to protect women? Protect us from whom? We would not be in danger if men weren't around. Do you know the #1 cause of death amongst pregnant women? Not natural causes, not health related. No, men. murdering them. Men protect men, and we see it time and time and
a few moments later.
And time again. There is zero accountability for what men do, and women are always blamed for what men say and what men do. It seems like there's this growing resentment and hatred towards women from men because men feel so entitled to women because they've always had women. They've always had control over women. And now that that's slipping away, they're lashing out. They feel entitled to whatever they want from women, whatever they expect from women, and when we don't act accordingly, they make it everyone's problem. We're not seen by everyone as equals, and it shows. But if a woman says this part out loud, we're dismissed as man-hating feminists. Criticizing the behavior of bad men does not mean we hate all men. Y'all criticize women all the time. Does that mean y'all hate all women? Are you admitting the quiet part out loud? Are you admitting to misogyny? When men do horrible shit, other men rush to defend them and do gymnastics to justify it. Women, on the other hand, have no problem criticizing other women. It's a sport at this point. We're just starting to see women unite and go against that instinct to tear other women down. And I don't want to give too much stake to online social media presence and activity as like an example, because I know the worst of worst people thrive online. But like when I think about these social experiments I see, like some guy taking an upskirt photo of some woman, or pushing a woman around, or abusing her, or trying to like get a reaction from anyone to see who would step in and defend this woman, it is almost always a woman who does it. Men just look like, oh shit, that sucks. Even little things like if you go on a woman's social media page and she posts like a picture of her in a bikini, or a picture of her in a nice dress, or a picture of her doing anything almost, you will see unwarranted random hatred from men online criticizing her look, sending hatred her way towards her gender, telling her to lose weight or gain weight, or she should wear less makeup, or she should wear more makeup. You need a boob job, you're too fake. Like it doesn't end. Get back in the kitchen, which is one thing I've always found funny, because the culinary world is dominated by male chefs, right? So why is it that we're still having this argument that a woman's place is in the kitchen? Anyway, counter that with, if you look at a man's feed, if he posts a gym selfie, if he posts him just existing, you see other men hyping him up, looking good, bro. And women, oh my God, daddy, yes. Like just being nice to him. Unless they're like a piece of shit, and then yes, it's like free reign to tear them down. You see women being supportive and men showing love to other men. Way more love than they show to other women. And y'all wonder why there's a male loneliness epidemic and not a female loneliness epidemic. I saw this video and I felt it somewhere very deeply. Her name is Jessie Song.
I know this is gonna piss so many people off, but there's a popular saying on the Chinese internet says, even a top tier man is just the average woman. Someone wrote, a man who doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't cheat, doesn't gamble, no criminal records, stable job, cooks, cleans, emotionally stable, respects others, kind to his family. Isn't that kind of a man so rare? But honestly, every one of my female friends meets that standards and more. So yeah, even the best man is just an average woman. Oh my gosh, Shakespeare could never. And it really makes me think of the double standard that society has for men and women, especially when it comes to parenting and marriage. If a man cooks for his wife, takes care of the kids, does the housework, I guarantee 95% of the comment section is gonna say, oh my God, you're such an amazing dad, husband material, best dad ever. And sure, as a woman, I applaud guys like this. We love seeing guys being nurturing, being involved, we love more of that. But let's be real, isn't that just a mom's regular everyday life? When moms do it, it's never appreciated, it's expected. But when guys do it, it's suddenly you're the best dad of the year. And we see this happens a lot. A woman needs to work twice as hard as a man to get the same position, and a guy can just does the bare minimum and still get praised. So what we need as a society is to raise the standards and stop letting the shitty ones get away with bare minimum.
So in response to that video, she pinned a comment. This is what it said. The average woman is emotionally stable, and men can get rewards for doing half the work. Wow, this is properly delusional. Because Femme Fatale reposted her video. This wasn't posted. I didn't see this from her. I saw this from an account called Femme Fatale. If men are the emotionally stable ones, how do you explain the statistics on domestic abuse, femicide, sexual assault at work, and violent outbursts ending in death? Emotional stability isn't about who feels more, it's about how those feelings are handled. Let's not pretend that the record is spotless. And this next comment is like my favorite paragraph I have ever read online. I felt everything she said, no crumbs left, she ate. Men suffer in silence, yeah? Well, whose fault is that? Y'all built a whole identity around mocking emotions, calling hugs gay, shaming each other for crying, and worshiping red pill prophets who treat empathy like a disease. Then reality doesn't match the fantasy and suddenly you're drowning. But instead of reaching out, you're doubling down on the same fragile masculinity that's killing you. And worse, you make everyone else suffer with you, because let's be honest, most of y'all don't suffer in silence. You suffer violently, bitterly, loudly, hurting people before hurting yourselves. You don't need more pity, you need to unlearn the bullshit. Being human isn't weak, emotions aren't feminine, and crying doesn't make you any less of a man. But hey, keep worshiping your little internet daddies while calling each other pussies for healing. Then act shocked when no one feels sorry for you. Fix it, it's tired now.
One more time.
It's little everyday things like being told to cover up because if we get raped, it's our fault. Not a man. They can't help it, right? Even though they're supposed to be leaders, they can't help. They fall apart at a woman's body and it's our fault for it. We should just aspire to be moms and wives and that's it. Parenting is expected from women, but not men. Single moms get shamed, but single dads get praised. Women should obey and follow the leader of the house, aka the man. It's so interesting how being a mediocre man makes you more qualified than an outstanding woman. Somehow the standards are always so much higher for women. Fun fact, there is zero evidence that proves or shows or suggests or supports the notion or the idea that men are superior to women. Physical strength is not the end-all be-all, because clearly they don't do so well with emotional strength and mental strength. But we don't talk about that. That's why they're taught to suppress their feelings. But then when they snap and hurt us, it's our fault.
Okay.
Women are expected to do everything, especially what men feel like are beneath them. And we're supposed to be grateful because, hey, at least we have a man. There is a reason women are choosing to be single and childless and are happier for it. The illusion and the control is fading. And sadly, I feel like all of this is elevated in South Korea. Not worse globally. Again, obviously, I am very much aware that there are many parts of the world where women are treated like dogs, just absolute lowest of the low. We're not talking about the world though. You saw the title and clicked on the video for a reason. We're talking about Korea. I feel like in South Korea, they do this thing where crime is taken very seriously unless it's a crime against a woman or unless it's a crime committed by a man. So AKA 98% of the time. I mean, the patriarchy does look after its own, after all. In 2018, the Me Too movement really took off in Korea. Many Korean women felt emboldened to finally speak up about all the essay and abuse they've endured in silence for hundreds of years. The 4B movement started. The birth rate is the lowest of any OECD nation. By the way, I'm not naive enough to think that the 4B movement is why the birth rate is plummeting. The birth rate is plummeting for many reasons globally, right? Like in developed nations, when men and women are equally educated or have equal access to education, women are choosing to be in the workforce instead of having kids, and they're also choosing to have them later. It's also too expensive to raise a kid. People work too much to raise a kid. Women are sick of being single mothers. There's not enough resources out there to support parenthood and child rearing. Like there's many reasons for why people across the world are not having kids. I'm 32, no kids yet. I want them maybe someday. So personally, these are some of the reasons I haven't thought about kids yet. But for so long, women have just been told to have babies, especially in South Korea. It's the main reason why men have to serve in the military, but women do not. But now that women are not having kids, they're like, well, women should have to serve with us. They should suffer with us. One thing that I feel like is specifically unique to South Korea is we've seen a huge increase in anti-feminism protests. I feel like even in the West, right? Where hatred for women is clear and apparent, and it's every day. It's in our laws. It's in the way we interact with each other, right? But very rarely do you see men in the US or Canada or the UK or Australia or wherever, anywhere in the West, go out and protest in the street about anti-feminism. They do that in South Korea. In fact, the recently impeached President Yoon won his campaign because it was very much misogynistic. It's so bad in South Korea that women actually fear being labeled a feminist. It's little things like even back in 2023, so many women in South Korea didn't want to go see the Barbie movie because the Barbie movie is accepted to be an iconic feminist film, right? The top grossing film of the whole year, by the way. And people were pretty surprised by how it underperformed in South Korea, but I was not at all surprised. Feminism in South Korea is synonymous with criminality. Being accused of feminism is like being accused of a crime. I just don't understand how men exist with us in real time in the same world and they're not aware of the inequality. You live in the same world as us. You have moms, daughters, wives, girlfriends, fiancés. I feel like another epidemic that is pretty unique to South Korea is morka, aka spy cams. Women and our bodies are like their plaything, entertainment for men. And a lot of the time, men in Korea know they can do whatever they want to a woman and receive little to no punishment. Why would you be dissuaded from committing crime if you know there will be little to no punishment for it? This is the problem in Korea. Some guys, some young men will see, oh wow, Taeil being a global star. Everyone knows who he is. He only got 3.5 years for gang raping a woman. maybe I should do that. I won't get punished for it. And this is why women often don't report it when it does happen, because one, you'll either blame us or you don't believe us. You know how men love to justify if a woman reports rape, oh, she's lying, she's making it up. That's what they do, right? But then they hate when women say stuff like, I hate men, or why we choose the bear, because men are dangerous, men are violent, men are detrimental to our well-being. While it is absolutely true that some women do lie about this, it is microscopic compared to the women who have actually experienced assault in their life. In South Korea, there's so many loopholes to sexual assault crimes. There are so many ways to get around a serious punishment. If you were drunk, like in the US, for example, like since we're just comparing, in the US, if you assault someone, if you murder someone, whether you were drunk or not, you're still going to jail, you know? You can't say, oh, I was drunk, I wasn't in my right mind. You do, however, see a lot of people try to go the insanity route, right? I heard voices in my head telling me to do it because they're hoping to get innocent for reasons of insanity or whatever. The charge varies from state to state. It's that equivalent in South Korea. They say, oh, I was drunk, I was on drugs, I didn't realize what I was doing. And it works. In South Korea, you can be, if you were drunk when you committed a crime, you will get a lesser punishment. If this is your first time raping a woman, you get a lesser punishment. If you show remorse for raping a woman, you get a lesser punishment. SA cases in South Korea often lead to a suspended sentence or a very light prison sentence. In South Korea, there is a notable section of the population who stalk and abuse and obsess over women because they can't get women. And again, I know this is global, but we're talking about Korea. There are so few protections against stalking, so little punishment against spy cams. Can become quasi if they were intoxicated and couldn't force you off of them. I feel like it is important to differentiate this every time we talk about it. We know, right? It's when someone is penetrated against their will, right? That's like the general definition of. But in South Korea, they have a little known term called quasi, meaning that if the person you penetrated was under the influence, if they were sedated, if they were intoxicated, if they couldn't physically push you off of them and couldn't physically resist you, then it's quasi, and that's a lesser charge. If men want to continue to lead the world and run the world, they need to become familiar with accountability. Instead of defending and excusing awful behavior, violent behavior, illegal behavior, hold men properly accountable when they fuck up. Don't justify their BS by blaming women or downplaying the severity of what they did. When a man does something bad and wrong, stop defending it or deflecting blame. Women are fed up and it shows. Women are fed up, and this is not just coming from nowhere. It's not mass hysteria. It's our lived experience. Stop dismissing it as hyperbole. Where do you even get the gall and the audacity as a man to tell a woman she hasn't experienced what she's experienced? Women just want fairness. When women say something horrible happened to them, investigate it. Punish the accused accordingly. Don't dismiss it. Disclaimer, while it is true that overall crime in South Korea is much lower than many parts of the world, it has been trending upward lately, but these crimes still do happen, and when it does happen, we need to talk about it. Because just like this Chinese tourist, a foreigner in South Korea who was by Taeil and two friends, when SA happens against women, the punishment does not fit the crime. There is so much suppression in South Korea too, and I feel like that is a huge contributing factor to this, because anything deemed sexual is deemed inappropriate in South Korea, and then they wonder why people aren't having babies anymore. You have to tiptoe around the subject, and their laws are so incredibly outdated. It's funny, I said this before, but someone like Johnny Somali, who is being harshly punished for being a nuisance, obstruction of business, and other non-violent charges, he is facing more serious time in prison than someone like Taeil who gang raped a woman. Does this mean if you're not a Korean guy, you're punished accordingly? You face appropriate time in prison if you're not Korean? When a foreign man mistreats Korean women, there are consequences. When a Korean man mistreats Korean women, crickets. By the way, I'm not defending Johnny. I want him in prison really badly. But when other people hurt other people in South Korea, I want them in prison for longer. And I know men struggle too. Women have been having long discussions about how the patriarchy is detrimental to men as well, making them serve in stupid, countless, pointless wars, driving them to suicide, pressure to provide financially, etc., etc., etc. But as long as men continue to benefit from the patriarchy, I doubt they'll speak up against the patriarchy. I guess they take the bad with the good. So yeah, I don't want this video to be too long. I'm not surprised, because like when we talked about, oh, he pled guilty, let's see what happens next. Even in that video, I said, I doubt he gets to 7 years. He might get a suspended sentence. You know, I knew it would be kind of a joke of a sentence, but 3.5 years, I was a little optimistic. I'm not gonna lie. A little bit of me was hoping that he would be punished accordingly.
That is not correct.
So yeah guys, I would love to know how you feel about this in the comments below. Sorry to get all deep on y'all like this, but we gotta talk about it when it's relevant, which seems to be every goddamn day now. So thank you so much for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong!